I'm still Sam, but I'm #JustSayin. Let's go back, way back, like 10 years back, all the way back to 2008. Not only was the second entry of Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy about to redefine what a comic book movie could be, but the second and arguable actual start to the greatest experiment in all of cinematic history was about to quietly but surely make Tony Stark a household name. Actually, let's go a little bit farther back. 7 years prior to all this, Sony took on a huge gamble by way of letting a traditionally lower-budget auteur filmmaker named Sam Raimi, known primarily for the Evil Dead and Darkman series at the time, take the reins of the first big-screen, live-action summer blockbuster to star possibly the most popular superhero character of all time. In fact, let's go back one more year. Fox was itching to make use of some of its acquired IP, so they recontextualized what had, at the time, enjoyed its most popular run as a kids' TV mainstay in the neon-colored 1990s and turned it into a bona fide, just enough real-world feeling universe of its own. One that's still going on today, mind you, even if we do have an expiration date. They also made some Fantastic Four movies, but we don't need to talk about those. Now, back to the present, or at least how we see it in late 2018. The DCEU may well be on their way to releasing three well-received movies in a row by way of Aquaman, Shazam, and Wonder Woman 1984. Sony, after years of eating its own tail, seems to have found a way to make money without a live-action Spider-Man, and the on-the-surface throwaway concept of the Avengers, but it's a cartoon, and they're all Spider-Man kind of, and the movie that they made out of that is deservedly one of the best reviewed films of the year. And then we have Papa Marvel, who not only made one of the biggest cultural statements of the decade with Black Panther, but the 10-year build-up that started way back in 2008, technically with The Incredible Hulk, but really with Iron Man, was kicked off with probably my favorite comic book flick of the year, in Avengers, but it's actually the story of Thanos. Deadpool 2 was also really good. Not great, but really very good. What I'm saying is, we've come a long way from Batman and Robin and the Bat Nipples, the nipples that single-handedly stopped any chance of any of this happening in the 90s. And now, in the span of less than 2 decades, we've seen the world of comic book movies go from being huge risk gambles that could humiliate the entire studio if it doesn't work, to being surefire hits, even when the movie is bad. See Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man 2, the first 2 Thors, Venom, Fight Me, Venom is not a good movie, but all those except the first Thor made north of $600 million. Hell, Justice League made $670 million, and that was considered a failure because it was called Justice League and didn't crack a cool billion. The game has been changed. The movie landscape looks vastly different now than it did 20 years ago, and comic book movies led by Papa Marvel is why. But hold your horses, folks. Before we start cheering about how we finally took over the mainstream because superheroes are popular now, and the Marvel Cinematic Universe is the most successful film franchise of all time, let's consider the cons. Movies that aren't guaranteed to make about $500 million at the box office will still get made as long as people have stories to tell and a drive to make movies. But their prominence and visibility are definitely at an all-time low. Sure, there's plenty of us who don't mind too much as long as we can go see Endgame 2 or 3 times in the theaters, but let's try to be aware of the climate that we're cultivating. Plenty of dramas and comedies seem to be more and more finding their way to home streaming services via Hulu, Amazon, or Netflix and chill, and you know what? Maybe that's not a bad thing. Lord knows I like to just stay home and watch a new release sometimes, and this has kind of turned into a public service announcement of sorts. So I guess I'm just going to wrap this up. This is where we are, and how we got here. Let's all be thankful we might get to see a Deadpool, Wolverine, Captain America big screen team up relatively soon, but also not forget to enjoy some art that doesn't have a superhero in it every now and then. My name is Sam, and I'm #JustSayin.
What's up, crew? If you got any idea of what you would like for us to talk about on The Minute or on Movie Night Autopsy podcast, hit us up on the social medias. You can hit us up on Twitter at @movie_autopsy. Check us out on Facebook at Movie Night Autopsy. Always feel free to email us, contact@movienightautopsy.com.